that hover like a fountain in the desert of debt will, in a matter of time, wither inevitably, irretrievably under the blaze of devastated real estate. While I respect the hope you hold for humanoids, as Earthlings say, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Overlooking the interests of the landowners. Upstate New York and central New York, landowners are uniquely situated stakeholders and are well positioned to appreciate the risks and benefits of responsible drilling. Inherent and often unknown risks, and hydrofracking is no exception. Nonetheless, we cannot allow fear-mongering and unfounded, grossly exaggerated concern to dictate policy. To date, there's no scientific evidence that done correctly, hydrofracking poses any risk to contamination of drinking water. That said, landowners recognize that done incorrectly, hydrofracking poses heightened unknown risks, and accidents do happen. As such, we believe that rather than banning hydrofracking, transparency and oversight are the cornerstones of a sound safety culture. While we cannot legislate away risk, we should focus on regulatory policies and procedures essential to ensuring environmental responsibility and accountability. Thank you for your time, and I know it was an unpopular position, so I appreciate it.
There are 1 million acres in the watershed. 900,000 of those are privately owned. It is not your watershed, and it is certainly not your water. It is ours. The oil and gas industry is currently offering us $10,000 an acre as a sign-up bonus and an additional 20% royalty per year. The land that I own, as the third largest landowner in Wyndham, would provide $5 million to me, initial payment. All the people in Wyndham, $2.5 billion. All the people in the watershed, $900 billion. Now, we will get our money one way or the other, because you can't confiscate mineral rights without compensation. New York City cannot afford to pay $900 billion. $10 billion, which is the figure that you quoted for the filtration, or $20 billion that Mr. Coppell quoted, is a bargain. That will create enormous employment in New York City, which we desperately need.
Let him speak, please speak, let him speak.
The opportunity.
He must speak, please.
That the moratorium has 8 to 9 months left in the moratorium. Residents of drilling areas can become chronically ill from the carcinogens and neurotoxins seeping into the air. Repeated or prolonged exposure can cause liver, heart, blood, brain damage, leukemia, and other cancers. I think that we have to stop using gas.
Yes.
I think that we have to use sustainable, renewable energy. We need solar energy.
Yeah.
Solar panels on every rooftop in Manhattan. 33% of solar panels on rooftops in Manhattan would provide us with all of the electricity that we need. Why aren't we doing this?
There are millions of words written about the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico and how over time the oil and the natural gas will dissipate and everything will be clean again. That is a lie. What they are really saying is, drill baby drill. I say no. No drilling, no way in New York State.
Each well requires 2 to 9 million gallons of fresh water per frac, averaging 5.5 million gallons of fresh water per well per frac. Each well can be fracked up to 20 times. At these rates, fracking 81,000 wells will produce more than 8 trillion gallons of highly contaminated water. Now, New York City, for example, uses 1.1 billion gallons of water daily. 8 trillion gallons of water represents more than 2.5 years of water the city would give to the gas industry that would otherwise be available for drinking, bathing, or watering land that produces food and other businesses. Other considerations aside, how would that affect our water rates? But far more important, where are we going to put more than 8 trillion gallons of dangerous water? Once the water... Pittsburgh Monongahela River is used by 1 million people, but parts of it now have a river flow less than half of what it usually is this time of year. In today's Pittsburgh Tribune Review, a chemist with the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority said, "My colleagues who have worked on the Monongahela have not seen these low flow levels in 20 years.
There's enough gas in the Marcellus Shale so that New York City need never purchase another drop of gasoline, fuel oil, or electricity. There's enough land upstate where the unemployment rate is over 10% to create electrical generating plants to send electric to New York City, greatly reduce the cost of living in our town. And unfortunately, due to the misinformation that you three councilmen have given to the public, you are deceiving them from what is an extraordinary economic opportunity." Thankfully, Governor Cuomo is a great friend, Governor Cuomo is a great friend of the gas industry, and we look forward to having the governor and the upstate legislators, particularly Jim Seward, enact legislation to benefit the entire state of New York.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, let me just make a statement.
We met a Dr. Bola Omotosho he's a CB5 in the Bronx, the president of that community board. He's an oncologist from Nigeria. He absolutely, this whole issue resonated with him. The average age of death in Nigeria is 61 years old. The average age in the Niger Delta is 41 years old. They've had oil drilling and gas drilling for decades in the Niger Delta.
And I only became aware of it when I went back to West Virginia with political campaigns in 2008 and went into West Virginia where people were told many years ago, let's do strip mining because then it won't be so dangerous for the miners. We'll just scoop the dirt off the top of the mountain, go in, get the coal, we'll do reclamation, have the trees, everybody's fine, you go home and nobody dies. Guess what? No reclamation, it's cheaper to pay the fine. And people in New York, remote from that West Virginia thing, didn't maybe know what strip mining was. Next up, clear cutting. Let's go just rape the top of those mountaintops, get all the trees, take off, ruin the roads, and all these people in these economically deprived areas that don't have transportation, don't have schools or colleges nearby, are basically put up against the wall. It's all about the money. Yes, it provided jobs for the timber companies, and then they left, and you have ghost towns all over, and almost every family has had cancer in every one of the little hollers.
Back on June 3rd of this year, 35,000 gallons of hydraulic fracturing fluids were sent into the air in a forested area in Pennsylvania. And the Pennsylvania DEP called it a serious incident. I would say that is definitely true. And also, in another incident in April in Pennsylvania, combustible gas escaped into the region's groundwater. And in Colorado and Wyoming, benzene goes into the water table. And it's not just the fracturing, but the transport, handling, storage, and accidents that could happen from cost cutting and inattention that can cause problems, and even seismic activity possibilities. The process requires too much water. Water is too precious. 2% of the world's water supply is drinkable. Do you really want to use it to get gas to come out of rocks? It doesn't make sense to me.
I want to thank Josh Fox for that documentary.
Yeah.
3 million people saw it. How many people live in New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, etc.? 3 million is a drop in the water bucket. And I think, I don't know how we can do it to get that film out so that more people know what's happening.
It's coming out.
Just